This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or an entire video dedication, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This video is dedicated to Antonio Rouse. Antonio, thank you. Trostani Selesnyas voice versus Elsha of the Infinite, Zedruu the Greathearted, and Urza Lord High Artificer. And we've decided to keep here because that's a pretty good hand. And we're just seeing a few tap lands to start off with, so we'll get our tap land out of the way, and then we can get down that Nature's Law next turn. Then a couple of rocks coming down for each of my opponents, an Arcane Signet, and a Talisman of Conviction. We get into another land. Yeah, we're just going in for Nature's Law here. Then a treasure map for Urza, and the first commander of the game coming down already, that is Zedruu the Greathearted. And we're probably seeing Elsha next turn, because they've got all the mana they need now. They're getting to search for as counter. And why don't we just go in for Smothering Tithe? I'd like to get that Signet down, but I have a feeling that we're going to get into some treasures with that Tithe. A Commander Sphere from GoGo, and then going in for an activation on the treasure map. And GoGo is a patron of the channel, by the way, as I'm sure you're all aware by now. And we've got two randoms that are playing the Zedruu deck and the Elsha deck. A couple of Jeskai randoms. Alright, Smoke from the Zedruu player. And then Zedruu giving Smoke over to Urza. Doesn't matter who has control of that because it's a world ability. Then Elsha of the Infinite coming down. Alright, and we get into a Signet, so let's grab ourselves... We'll go for the Strip Mine as a warning for people. Then we'll go Sol Ring into the Signet. And why don't we get our commander down as well? We've got absolutely nothing to do with our commander, unfortunately. Then we might as well get down Authority of the Consuls as well. Sisay's Ring from the Urza player. Followed by Fellwar Stone, so getting into a hell of a lot of rocks now. They should have all the mana they need next turn. Our opponent deciding to pay for the first Smothering Tithe trigger. Don't forget they draw an additional card thanks to this being over here. Now it's Brainstorm, and that does count as card draw, so we get even more Tithe triggers. Like I said, it's just a shame that we've got nothing to do with them. Search for Azcanta through the Talisman of Creativity into the bin. Obviously they feel as though they've got enough mana at this point. And then grabbing back the Talisman of Creativity with Academy Ruins. And swinging in over at GoGo. Now some good card draw or token production would be nice. But of course we're just getting to a land, so apparently we're going to get flooded this game. Let's grab ourselves a basic Plains. And then it's just a case of passing over with, yet again, absolutely nothing to do. Inventor's Fair now for Urza, and they can activate that. Because they've easily got Metal Craft. But instead, going for Urza himself, comes in tapped and gives us a life. Haven't seen all that many creatures hit play yet. Then activating the treasure map again, and I think it's only 3 counters this needs. 3 or more landmark counters, you remove them and transform it, and get 3 treasures. And then you can sack a treasure to draw a card, and obviously these tap for mana as well. Thanks to Urza. Now it's a Hedron Archive, another mana rock. And down to 1 card left in hand. Champion's Helm can tap itself for mana and equip itself to Urza, bumping him up to a 3/6 with hexproof. But this is a 9/9 now, thanks to all the artifacts in play. Return to Dust going on to our Smothering Tithe and the Champion's Helm. But I think Smothering Tithe has done more than enough work for us at this point. We just have to hope that artifacts don't get wiped before we can actually use those treasures. Now it's an Oblivion Ring. And Oblivion Ring goes on to Urza. And Urza does go back into the command zone, does not go under the O-Ring. Can't really expect Mono Blue to get rid of an Oblivion Ring. A Rite of Replication going on to the Construct now, and that is kicked, so they've got 9 mana there. Authority of the Consuls will give us some life. And they get a bunch of constructs, each giving themselves a big buff. So a bunch of 8/8s over here now. So the Elsha of the Infinite doing a better job of making tokens than we are at the moment. Then a 4/4 going in at Zedruu. Alright, Night of Autumn. And Night of Autumn going on to this sounds alright, but am I in a hurry to do that with all these in play? I don't know if I am, to be honest. We'll just get a Shockland into play so that we don't have to lose life to it later. Yeah, this player isn't in the chat so far, and I don't want to show the Zedruu player that we're after them. If this player isn't going to respond to us, this is the problem with not sitting across the table from someone. I'd love to go Night of Autumn onto this, and then the constructs help get rid of this player, but we can't guarantee that they'll actually do that, so just going to play it cool for now and pass again. And continue to keep my fingers crossed. Urza coming back down again, and yeah, so that costs 6 mana, and they've still got plenty of mana to tap thanks to Urza. Then Urza is going to go for the first activation on there, and they just get themselves into an island. We can see in the exile zone there. Alright, going to give us the Oblivion Ring. And then they'll draw a couple more cards with Zedruu at the beginning of the turn. Alright, a Blasphemous Act. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see the point in a Teferi's Protection this early on just to protect our Trostani, because I know full well we're going to draw into a land next turn. So we'll just concentrate on getting our commander out again. Then Mesa Enchantress coming down, so yeah, they're obviously based around getting down world enchantments and enchantments where they don't care if anyone else has control over them. Doesn't matter who has Oblivion Ring once it's exiled something. And it's noteworthy as well that they've held up some blue mana. Fiery Confluence is 1 damage to each creature twice and destroy an artifact. The artifact going down is Hedron Archive. Yeah, so just using that to get rid of the Mesa Enchantress, which is a good idea in my book. Well, they tapped down blue mana for it. But just holding up the 2 blue mana to bluff and then deciding to tap it down. No point in bluffing if you're going to allow your card draw engine to go down, because it's obvious you don't have counter magic at that point. Then a Shadow Spear coming down for Elsha. And there is a Mental Misstep. Maybe playing some mind games, some shenanigans there. They tapped down their blue mana to show they didn't have any counter spells, and then they went for Mental Misstep. Although, Mental Misstep, they did have to pay 2 life for that. Also, our opponent just snuck down a Windfall, so that takes us off of the Night of Autumn. Perhaps should have gotten rid of this while we had the chance. Oh, and look, it's just more mana for us. What a shocker. Let's get down the guy's cradle before someone wheels that away as well. Then we're just getting down Trostani again and passing the turn yet again. Persistent as ever. Urza coming down for a 3rd time now. And we didn't look at what everyone discarded actually, did we? There is an All Is Dust. Good to see the back of that. Black Blade Reforged. And then here there was Mental Misstep we saw. There's Barren Glory. Phyrexian Unlife. And a Plains was discarded. And they just discarded Korvath's Fury when they cast the Windfall. Anyway, what's going on over here? Magnifying Glass, I think, is new. And just a bunch of rocks. It seems as though that's pretty much all this deck is a bunch of rocks. Rolling the planar die, incredibly important part of the game. And rolling a blank, I don't think anyone has ever rolled anything other than a blank on the planar die. Zedruu the Greathearted coming down again. And we go up to 50 life, thanks to that Authority of the Consuls, a very underappreciated card. You gain a lot of life with this over the course of a game. Anvil of Bugden now. Players have no max hand size. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card, then discards a card. I like that. Recurring Insight targeting us because we've got the most cards in hand. Alright, now, this time we're going to get into Well, that's a good start. We're going to get into some form of token production now. Watch this. Oh, right. Okay. Well, start as you mean to go on. I cannot draw into anything other than lands this game, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of editing to do this game. Discarding Helm of the Host to the Anvil of Bugden, and instead deciding to cast Loxodon Warhammer, so obviously going for some kind of equipment build for the Constructs, which is an interesting variant of Urza. Also getting down Sword of Kaldra, so I'm probably trying to assemble that combination of cards as well. That goes onto Urza. I mean, maybe they're just going for the commander damage with Urza. Warhammer going onto their commander as well, making it a 9/9 with lifelink and trample. Then they activated Urza again, but yet again, just getting into an island, which I think they just played. And then activating Urza, which yet again, just gets them into an island. And now swinging in over at Zedruu. Zedruu now, again, responding to their own trigger. They're going to draw even more cards, giving Anvil of Bugden to this player this time. Spreading out the permanents amongst the table, which makes perfect sense if one of us gets knocked out. They don't lose a bunch of card draw. You really have to keep track of where all your permanents are when you play Zedruu in paper, I'll bet. Recurring Insight and Search for as counter triggering now. Recurring Insight most likely goes over here because there's 5 cards in hand. See if Search for as counter puts anything in the bin. So they go up to 9 cards in hand after the draw step. Oh, and then they'll draw another card from Anvil of Bugden as well. They've already discarded Volcanic Offering to that, by the way. Now, it doesn't seem as though a whole lot's going on Zedruu's side of the field, no doubt thanks to Leyline of Anticipation. I've no doubt that they have a lot of things to do. And unreal, we've just drawn 2 lands off the top again. Oh, how annoying. Alright, so what's it for the 5th time in a row now? We'll just discard a Plains and continue to watch everyone else play. Going for another shuffle with Urza and getting themselves into a Burnished Heart. Just deciding to go straight in for an Urza activation again. Another island for them, so apparently the shuffler is putting a lot of lands on top. A Sorcerous Spyglass this time, and they do go for that. They want to look at an opponent's hand. And they've chosen to stop Zedruu from activating their 3-mana ability. Now a Whir of Invention, where X is 3, they get to search for an artifact and put it into play. And that demands an Arcane Denial. And then, yeah, no prizes for guessing where Urza goes this time. If they could have just gotten into another equipment and gotten themselves 3 power onto this thing, they probably could have taken Zedruu out there, or at least forced them to block with this. If they just take the damage here, they're going up to 18 commander. They do decide to take it, going up to 18. They're just deciding to crack Burnished Heart now and get some more lands. We are straight through apparently to Elsha's turn, who has played Wild Research. You can tutor for, an instant or an enchantment and discard at random. Let's see what they discarded, because they just activated the enchantment. I can't look at the graveyard, annoyingly. Ooh, getting rid of a bribery. Yeah, the graveyard keeps closing itself and it's infuriating. Well, whatever they tutored for. There we go, a Cyclonic Rift. This is a good time to talk about this. Cyclonic Rift has been banned in our playgroup because everyone voted for it. Well, not everyone, but most people voted for it to be banned. Obviously we're playing against randoms, so we can't say that there's a ban list, but there's not always a bunch of patrons available, and it's actually got me thinking maybe I should open up the Discord to all of the viewers. And then if we've got some free spots, we don't have to rely on randoms from the internet that aren't going to adhere to a ban list that they don't even know exists. That is the EDH channel ban list, because obviously they don't know that that's how we'd like to play. And yeah, hopefully it means that we can all play together. Obviously I'm going to prioritise the patrons over everyone else, But if there's ever any free spots and you're interested in being on the Discord, then you've got every chance of playing with us. So that would be a good way of getting that going, I think. But everyone would have to adhere to the ban list that we've got in play, which isn't much. It's only mass land destruction. The Cyclonic Rift is on there. Constant Mists, because it drags games out for too long. And then stacks cards like Orbs and stuff. And Omniscience. It is actually Zedruu's turn now. I was forgetting all about the Leyline of Anticipation, and it gets mana drained. That's a hell of a lot of mana they're going to get. Zedruu getting hated out here. So all that stuff that went on from Elsha was actually occurring at the end of Urza's turn, I think, including the Cyclonic Rift. Anyway, we'll actually go through to Elsha's turn now. They might just pass the turn straight over. Elsha coming down again here with all of that mana that they got from the Omniscience. What is this? That is 10 mana. Now it is Echo Storm. This looks like a fairly new one. Create a token. That's a copy of an artifact. When you cast it, copy it for each time you've cast your commander. So they've got 2 copies there, which makes 3 in total. And what does it look like they're targeting? The Sol Ring. So they're just going for a heap of mana. Then giving their commander haste with the, what is it called? Flamekin Village. Then searching for an enchantment with the Wild Research. And I will attempt to see what they discard at random, if the graveyard decides it wants to stay open. They have discarded Balancing Act, which is obviously not an enchantment that they tutored for. Oh, and that's just a balance, isn't it? Yeah, see, these are the types of cards that I really don't want to see, balance and things like that. Might have to add balance to the ban list as well. It's just people don't seem to have... I'm not casting shade at this player, it's, it's Magic Online and people don't know the type of decks that we like to play. But yeah, balance is just like, take the game back to square one oftentimes. So that might have to be another thing that goes on the ban list. World at War will get them into another combat step, so that's 10 points of commander damage on someone. What is this? That is Elsha. So we'll see who they want to target with the 5 points of commander damage. It is us they are pointing themselves at. Then coming in at us again, putting 10 points of commander damage on us. Oh my god. What is that, like 6 or 8 lands on top in a row? This game. I don't even know what this game is. Alright, so it is a forest going into the bin. We will go for Gavany Township. I mean, we're just replaying all of our stuff basically, aren't we? Phyrexian Metamorph coming down for Urza and deciding to get their collection of rocks on the go again. They'll probably play them all out this turn. The infamous Fractured Power Stone. So as we can see here, Urza has gotten down a bunch of rocks again. And it's back over to the Zedruu player, who has their commander in hand, I think. Yes, it's in their hand. A couple of rocks and a Rhystic Study so far. Then just getting down there, Zedruu again. 5 cards in hand. They do have blue held up, so there's every chance that they will have some kind of counter magic. But if they do, they're not holding it up. It is, oh good, Overburden. Whenever a player puts a non-token creature onto the battlefield, that player returns a land to the hand. So we've got a couple of stronger decks here that like to play more Staxy type stuff. The type of thing I'm trying to avoid on the channel, to be honest. But like I said, these are internet randoms, so it can't be helped. It's not their fault. Then Elsha is going for something with all of those mana rocks at the end of the turn. It is Sunbird's Invocation. And they have one floating for the study, so they should be paying into that. Playing a Thrix into the Rhystic Study. And that makes their commander unblockable pretty much. Or uncounterable, sorry. But they will get a free spell off of Sunbird's Invocation as well. And the Sunbirds takes them into a Mystical Tutor. All of this counts as casting, so they have to watch that Rhystic Study. But it will also activate Prowess on their commander. They tutor for Righteous Confluence, exiling a target enchantment 3 times, maybe? Yeah, maybe they want rid of Overburden and Mystic Study. That would make perfect sense. They might even want rid of Authority of the Consuls. Search for Azcanta has flipped into Azcanta the Sunken Ruin at some point, and now it's being activated. Look at the top 4 cards, and you can put a non-land, non-creature from amongst them into your hand. And they put the Righteous Confluence that they tutored for into their hand with the Azcanta. So let's see, yeah, they do want rid of the Authority of the Consuls. They're going to get another Sunbird Invocation. And of course, Righteous Confluence can't be countered thanks to, what is this called? Thanks to Thrix. Now it is Wildfire Devils. The Zedruu player has decided to scoop it up, which is fair enough. We did say that we don't want to see a solitaire game, and yeah, we've pretty much been watching this player play for about 15 minutes now. And all his dust has been grabbed somewhere. Wildfire Devils. Choose a player at random, exile an instant or sorcery, and you can copy it. So they've gone for the All Is Dust, deciding not to cast it for obvious reasons. It would hurt them more than anyone else, but at least there's no flashback on this. Now what's going on? That is Imperial Storm. Whenever you cast this spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander, create an angel token with flying. I think they'll get 3 or 4 angels there. Cascading into a windfall there, so could have gone for Heroic Intervention in response to that, but who really cares at this point? We're not doing too well here, are we? We've gone into Grand Abolisher, which might allow us to actually do something during our turn. And then is this equal to... It's the number of creatures you control, it's not power, so we're not going to draw a whole heap off of that, but don't see that we have much other choice, really, to be honest. Now the Elsha going in at go-go. And at the end of the turn, let's activate ourselves a Gavany Township. Might as well, we're not doing anything else. And, oh wow, we get into something other than a land. That's good. So we'll play the Forest. Do we want to actually play Hour of Reckoning or not? That goes for a player at random. Yeah, I'm not about to start playing around Wildfire Devils. Let's go for the Grand Abolisher first of all. Gain some life from our Trostani. We'll get down Worm Coil Engine as well, and then let's go for a Camaraderie. Oh my god, what are the odds of this? I mean, we're not winning this, are we? I mean, I might as well just keep passing the turn over to my opponents and allow you to see what my opponents are doing in this game, because apparently we're going to do diddly squat. I mean, look at that. 3 lands straight off the top again. That's just crazy. I think we're going to have to crop rotation to grab another land out of the library. In fact, let's just do that now. Not going to bother holding on to it. And we'll make some tokens one way or another. Let's go for Grove of the Guardian. Now the Hammer of Nazan comes down, as well as Urza. They both come in untapped, thanks to our enchantment being dealt with. And Sword of Fire and Ice comes down as well. The Hammer has gone onto the Construct. Looks as though the Sword is going on there as well, so that is a 15-13. Then activating Urza and getting into something good this time. That is a Mirage Mirror, so let's see what they can do with that. Getting another island off the top with their Urza. They've gotten a couple of good things off with that, but considering the mana they've had to pump into it, they haven't gotten into too many good things. Playing out a Guardian Idol by tapping down some of their artifacts. 2 cards in hand, 49 life, and passing the turn. Now let's see what damage this Wildfire Devils can do. They managed to get into the World at War, and they do have Rogue's Passage. Problem is they can activate it in response. So going for a Strip Mine on that isn't necessarily the best thing to do. And then I think they're casting the Scroll Rack at instant speed, which takes them into a Sunbird's Invocation. So now they'll be able to start choosing what they get into off of Sunbirds. And they're activating the Scroll Rack straight away. getting themselves into a gamble with only 3 cards in hand, so that's a risky play. They discard Jeskai Ascendancy, which is a combo piece. You can get infinite +1/+1 buffs with that. And of course the graveyard still won't stay open, because why would you want to look at your opponent's graveyard? And there we go. That ought to do it, I would think. Fury Storm. Copy an instant or sorcery for each time you've cast your commander, so they'll get 3 copies of that, including the original, or 2 copies and the original. That goes on World at War, so they get a bunch of additional combat steps. Rogue's Passage for the win, I would hope. Cascading into a Shu Yun. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can pay Hybrid Boros twice. If you do, it's a target creature that gains double strike, so Shu Yun can give double strike to Elsha here. Don't know. Oh yeah, they've got plenty of mana for Rogue's Passage as well. They're going to activate that, surely. They did all of that during the beginning of their turn, by the way. Yeah, looks like they're going for the Rogue's Passage now. Alright, yeah, just spoke to GoGo in the Discord, and we're saying that we're going to leave it here. Because the Elsha player is being incredibly slow. I'm usually far behind on the clock, because I have to commentate and stuff and go around the board and explain plays, but our opponent is being really, really slow here, and we've sat through pretty much a solitaire game there, which happens sometimes, but I think our opponent could have gotten out a win a lot quicker with Elsha there. You play your World at War, copy it a bunch of times, go for Rogue's Passage, swing in at all of us 2 or 3 times, and there you go, we're done. But our opponent was having some trouble there, I think. Anyway, let's see. Oh, I was going to see. I've been thrown out into the lobby now. I was going to see if we could draw into something that wasn't going to be a land, but something tells me that we had 17 more lands on top of the library. That was a very, very strange game. I'll probably just upload this as bonus content so that it gives you all something to watch on a dreary day when you're stuck indoors during this whole pandemic thing. Anyway, hopefully you all got some enjoyment from it. I will be sure to get another Trostani game in which we actually manage to do some Trostani things at some point in the near future, if you want to see that. So like I said, hopefully you all got some enjoyment out of it. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.